Good morning, folks, and welcome to today's virtual coffee break with Citrix Senior Vice President of Workspace, Sridhar Mullapudi. So as we get this on the road, I need to do my little announcement here. We are recording this session and we will share it later on via the Citrix Developers YouTube channel. You should consider this a public forum, so we are not under any kind of NDA, so please don't share anything that's private. Now, the way this is going to work, Sunny and I will chat with Sridhar, and please, everybody in the audience, ask questions via the questions panel, or if you'd like to actually ask your question verbally, put your hand up and we can open your mic and unmute you, and you can do exactly that. So before we dive into questions from the audience, Sridhar, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do, where you are, and the scope of your organization? Because Citrix Workspace sounds like a pretty broad portfolio.
Yeah, sure, Pat. You guys can hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Good. Thanks, Pat. Yeah, so I had product management for our Workspace and cloud, products and cloud services, right? Broadly speaking, as you said, it does have an umbrella of, cloud services, cloud platform or workspace service, individual services, virtual apps and desktops, endpoint management, gateway products. So it's a plethora of products and services. Obviously, our strategy has always been to build a platform in cloud service. That's kind of how we bring value to our customers and solutions, as well as a broader community who can extend the platform for us. So that's kind of my responsibility. I've been with Citrix a little over 20 years. Was in engineering for 6 years, I think, 6 or 7 years, something like that. And in the last 14 or so years, I've been in product management. Been very lucky enough to kind of pretty much work on, I think, every product or technology I own or touch. So, been pretty lucky, I guess, in that sense.
So does that go down to Workspace with Intelligence as well? Does it kind of go right down into the micro apps?
Yeah, absolutely. And Workspace with Intelligence as well, which is obviously, I'm assuming everybody's familiar with, the acquisition we made a few years back that kind of covers the integrations and the business workflows and other things that are built on Workspace platform as part of the extensibility we have. Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
So in here, you said you've seen basically a large body of the products. How have you seen Citrix evolve as we continue through the different changes moving throughout the organization?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Sunny. I mean, if you kind of take a step back and I look over the 20 years, the marketing names and the terminology and things, what we call might be different, but at the end of the day, like, we provide a kind of called, a secure workspace infrastructure, right? For delivery of different types of applications, whether it's virtual applications and desktops, or SaaS and web applications, mobile applications, or integrated workflows and business processes, which are really, if you think about it, they're kind of tied different apps together in the back to create that workflow, right? And so with security, choice, flexibility, kind of as core differentiation, and that, I would say, that's been true for almost the past 20 years, if not more. Obviously, the technology has evolved, the ecosystem has evolved, the applications have evolved, the work has evolved, all these things have evolved, and we kind of had to evolve as well, both from a company perspective, not just business models and other stuff, but also product and technology perspective, like, using cloud as a platform, using Workspace as a platform, building these solutions with a platform mindset, and not just internal platform. I'm talking platform with the uppercase P, like external platform and things like that. So, it's been an evolution, but we kind of provide that, I call it a secure workspace platform, for the last 20 years. We never called it Workspace 10 years back, but it's kind of, the same concept.
So for folks that I see, a few folks have joined since we got started. So please ask questions via typing them in the question panel, or in the raise your hand in the GoToWebinar interface, and I can unmute your mic and you can actually get online and ask your question directly. So, as people formulate their thoughts, so it seems like, we've got a couple of different motions that have happened over the past few years. One, you've kind of mentioned the, evolving into a platform, and the other is this kind of gradual motion from on-premise deployments to the cloud. And it seems like, with the events of this year and the explosion of working remotely, everything seems to have just kind of come together over the past 6 to 9 months. Have you seen that effect, Sridhar?
Yeah, really good question, Pat. I would say yes, absolutely. Just to get a little bit into the details, right? So, the cloud, when I say cloud as a service offerings we have in the platform, the journey has started a long time back, right? I mean, almost 3 to 5 years back, depending on what technology you're talking about. We saw a huge transition in 2019 as well. I think what happened, Pat, as soon as COVID happened in March, was it kind of created two things, right? The crisis phase. So everybody who were on-prem were just kind of doubling down on that, because you don't go through transformations when you have, things to scale in a matter of days, if not weeks, right? So, and then the customers who were in cloud just exploded. They're like, yeah, it's a 1-year project, became a 2-week project, right? So this kind of a, split happened. Customers who were on-prem just kind of increased that. Customers who are cloud just increased that. And when I say cloud, it's always hybrid, right? Nobody's pure all cloud, but it's kind of a hybrid. They use cloud for management, workloads, and other stuff. And so that's kind of what happened. And then now, 6 months later, we kind of, the new normal, the crisis, the planning, and now they're planning for long term. All the customers who were like pausing their on-prem and other stuff have suddenly said, no, we need a real plan, right? And so we're seeing that as well. We've seen that in our own cloud adoption. We've seen that in our own, cloud sales and subscribers and stuff. Some of this is public information as well to look at it. And so we definitely have kind of seen this split kind of combined together into like everybody wants to move to the cloud. Now, obviously, different customers at different paces and different requirements. So in a good way, put a lot of sense of urgency for us as well to kind of help simplify the tools for that migration, or new capabilities and certifications and compliance they need to move. So we just had to hit the accelerator pedal on it, because we didn't hope this whole digital and cloud transformation would have happened so fast, but it did after COVID, because of COVID, especially after the 3 to 6 months. Yeah.
And so, to what extent would you say we've seen an acceleration of existing trends versus new behavior over the past 9 months or so?
Yeah, it's a really good question. One, the traditional deployments that we've seen over the past 5 years, I think they continued accelerating, especially after the crisis phase is done. I think the second thing, which was very interesting, we started noticing as well, is customers just want everything to be, quote unquote, a managed service, as a service offering, right? I mean, they basically, look, I don't want to manage anything. Not this piece, not that piece, not that infrastructure. Everything needs to be managed as a service. At the same time, they kind of want to have the same control, security, and compliance that they've been used, to their on-prem and residing in their data centers, residing in their own country and geo and stuff. So we've actually seen new requirements come up where they're like, I want a country-specific cloud or a geo-specific cloud. And that has to do with also the geopolitical climate and other reasons where, people are like, no, for legal compliance and other reasons, we have to have those things. So those kind of are starting to happening as well. And that's another trend, I would say new trend, Pat. We've definitely seen it. I think we've seen it with other partners we work with, whether it's, Microsoft or Google or others as well. So it's I think it has been an industry trend, and it's it goes beyond technology, right? Yeah. Why that trend is happening. Yeah.
And so looking towards the future and where you see our company shaping, without giving too many secrets because we aren't under NDA here, can you give us a couple of things we should be looking forward to, or a sneak peek into 2021 here?
Yeah, sure. I think one, fundamentally, as I said, our strategy has always been kind of provide that, secure workspace, delivery infrastructure, right? I mean, whatever terminology you want to call it, workspace platform and other stuff. And I would say, Sunny, like there's just been a tremendous need from our customer base to really accelerate a lot of our roadmap, right? Help with cloud transition and stuff. So that's a huge part of it. In fact, I would argue some things that we said to be 2 years are becoming like, how do we come up with a plan that's 1 year, right? And obviously publicly, we talked about how much Citrix is investing in terms of R&D and engineering and headcount and product headcount and sales and everything else. So that's great news, right? And so that's happening. Second, I would say in some ways, we can still constantly do a better job integrating some of our portfolios into a broader workspace story, whether it's networking or SD-WAN or, when I say ADC and the workspace and other things. I think sometimes our customers and partners, for the right reasons, kind of look at them as, two things that are integrated well together. And so we have to, I think, make it really seamless, whether analytics, bringing those things together, management and control plane, like, how you manage all the data traffic. And so you'll see that acceleration happening, right? So, and obviously I talked to Pat's question on new requirements, whether it's compliance requirements because of cloud, geo-specific requirements coming in, all those are things that are going to keep coming. There's kind of a lot of innovation coming as well, organic, inorganic. I won't be able to talk too much about it just because it's not under NDA.
And so it sounds like the opportunity for developers to build on our technology is just exponentially increasing as we roll out more services, and Citrix becomes a broad platform where partners can bring specialized knowledge of individual industries to bear to kind of create a customized offering.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, at the end of the day, we provide that infrastructure, right? So while there are simple solutions that customers can do, we heavily depend upon our partner community, right? Not just our traditional CSS, CSPs, but also the new GSIs we are onboarding. Like, we absolutely need the partner community because we don't live in an island, right? Customers have to take our infrastructure and then connect with the Microsoft stack or the Google stack or the Amazon stack or VMware or other stacks in there to integrate well. And so partners are crucial for making that happen, including, a lot of times when you're moving from an on-prem to cloud, the design changes, right? How you think about design and architecture, and how do you think about security and compliance and SLAs, those things change. And thanks to us doing this along with some of our partners over the past 3 to 5 years, we have those knowledge. Now it's kind of about scaling. So you'll see a lot of enablement and readiness going into next year with our partners. And as we see a lot more adoption driving in cloud, that's an opportunity, right? Once you have customers who want to go to cloud, as well as who are growing in the cloud, it creates an opportunity base for our partners to build out services, integration, and other things. It's just the type of work is going to change. And that's been changing anyhow for the past 3 years.
So you'd see maybe an adjustment of the balance, if you like, between the more kind of classic system integration work and ISV work, where partners are able to actually create products that build on the capabilities of the platform into a particular niche, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I talk platform as a broad platform, and I think there's a lot of opportunities created, right? One, we talked about opportunity for partners to help design this for their customers, help this transition and migration. That's one opportunity. An opportunity for GSIs and partners who have scale, because they kind of build the complete solutions for customers on a really large scale. Take ours, other technologies, put them together and solve the real world business problem for the customer. That is not possible just with Citrix, because we need other technologies together as well. So that's one. We have partners who help extend, for example, the workspace, right? Broadly speaking, and cloud, in terms of extensibility, customization, whether it's vertical specific customization or some other needs, that's another opportunity for partners as well. So, and some partners play all of them, right? And it's definitely a huge opportunity. I strongly believe it's gonna grow heavily, as we go into next year and beyond.
Gotcha. So just a reminder, we are still taking questions. Feel free to type them in the question box or go ahead and raise your hand if you're not too shy to ask anything here. Considering this is a developer-focused event, Sridhar, what are the things that you're looking forward to seeing outcomes from our developer community, or interested in seeing grow out of all of this?
I think I want to be pleasantly surprised, right? For me, in the sense that I want the community to take the platform, make it their own, extend it in ways, stretch it in ways that we might not even have imagined, and kind of put a good tension back into the product and engineering organizations on not just what is working, what is not working. And I'm not just talking about just quality or debugging tools or how easy it is to build. That's obviously, a core requirement for anybody. How fast can you go from 0 to 1 is an important requirement, but also things that we've never thought about, right? I mean, that's the beauty of community, and I think we all want to be pleasantly surprised, saying like, hey, why can't we do this and this customer need, and feel like, wow, we never thought about it that way, but it's interesting, and kind of bring that back into it. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward for it. I think it's one thing where we tell these are the extensibility layers we have, and these are all the use cases, and we build the tools and they do it. I think that's one step, but I think the real step is like, maybe they'll surprise us and really tell us the things that we haven't thought about.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly, I've been working with developer communities for 15 years, and that's just one of the highlights, is when you see something that a developer has built and you look at it and you think, that's awesome. I would have never have thought of that. Getting back to CVAD in particular, if somebody's coming to this area for the first time, it's a broad portfolio. How do you get started? How do you, if you're at a company and your boss says, hey, we're deploying Citrix, where would I go to get started and to just kind of start ramping up on those technologies?
Yeah, for Pat, just because of our legacy, and we have a huge base of customers who deploy Citrix when they say virtual apps and desktops technologies, right? Using other technologies and networking and everything together. So for most of the customers, I would say, especially the larger ones, medium to larger ones, their journey through Citrix, or how they landed with Citrix, could have been through virtual apps and that stuff, right? So in that sense, the first step for them is like, hey, how do I transition this into cloud? Basically go to Citrix as a service. I think it still provides the flexibility and choice they need. Like, hey, I want to put the workloads where the applications are, understand. So that, and as part of that also, transition, instead of traditionally storefront, which used to be kind of the place where they used to go get applications, launch applications and desktop, go to the Workspace service as a step one, because that gives the foundation. I think that gives the foundation for every customer to, essentially, we call it transition and trade up, but I actually call it modernize and trade up, right? I think it gives them a step to modernize their infrastructure and operations and trade up to a better experience in the cloud, more value. And once they do it, it pays off dividends, 10, 20, 30 times over the next years, because now you already you moved to Citrix Cloud and Workspace as a platform. From there, turning on services, turning off services, building extensibility for your customers, it just becomes so much easier. And so for me, step one would be helping your customers kind of move to modernize their infrastructure and move to cloud, right? And just to be on the latest and greatest, it's just so much better in terms of quality and other aspects as well. Now, granted, I do understand, there's work for us to do in terms of features and others, and which is, ongoing roadmap for us. But it's just the right path for them to first transition to cloud and workspace, and then tap into all other new things they can do for their customers.
And we actually, Sunny, we have some resources that we released as part of Converge, right? Specifically on virtual apps and desktop.
Yeah, we have our learning journeys that all hackathon participants can go ahead and take a look at, go through the journey there, find out more information about how to set everything up, and then hopefully create an amazing submission from it.
Yeah, let me just pull the link and paste it into the chat here so that folks can pick that up. And I know
we have more resources. We have more resources on, if you Google for Citrix customer success, you'll find a bunch of information as well on our customer success page, both in terms of content as well as partner and other offerings and other things as well. So that would be another place probably to go check out.
Cool, Pat. I see you put that into the chat, and we actually have a question here from Mahesh. Do you plan to go open source route for workspaces?
Oh, open source route for workspaces. It's an interesting question. I think internally we talked about making it easy for somebody to start a workspace, start their workspace without actually having to rely on their IT, right? How do you self-start it really simple, kind of a, try-by kind of a experience. So we're definitely thinking about that and building a few things. Again, not NDA, so I can't talk too much about it. Thinking in that kind of direction where, look, it's not BYO workspace, right? It has to be administered through the company, which is kind of what it is done today. That's one. Regarding open source, I think there's certain tools and things that we can leverage, we can contribute back, and obviously extensibility of workspace and other things, we kind of contribute some things, back into the community today. But there's definitely something we probably could do more. I would say you're maybe early in the exploration right now on both those areas. How do you enable somebody to get started in a workspace without their AT, as well as what is your view on open sourcing some aspects of it? And that could be, things we talked about. Some certain integrations could be open source in GitHub or something like that, where you take it and expand and use it as you want and build to it. So there's active kind of work going on there. I wouldn't say anything completely finalized, and ready to go, but that work is already going on in different parts of it. And Citrix has a broad culture of open source as well, thanks to ZenSource and everything else, among other things. So we kind of know a little bit of how to handle open source community and how to really build a community around it.
Yeah, I think definitely the idea of using open source to provide templates for extension and a foundation for partners and customers to build on is very fruitful. And speaking from the developer ecosystem side, that's one of my personal priorities, in fact, over the next few months, is to explore how we can formalize that process of we already release a lot of templates and sample code, and be able to turn that into a community in itself and accept contributions from outside Citrix into those particular projects, and have living templates, if you like, for expanding the system. Because I found it wouldn't be a Citrix call with Pat on if I didn't mention that I used to work at Salesforce. But my experience at Salesforce, the people who build the platform, those engineers, actually, they have a different point of view and a different set of skills from the people who deploy and manage the platform. And you can bring so much experience in from those folks who have the day-to-day experience of extending this and making it work. The view from the outside in is quite different from the view from the inside out, if you like. So it's you get a lot of great contributions from people who, it's their job to make this work for their end users. So we have time for maybe one or two more questions from the audience. How would you look at just next steps for people kind of going away? They've come to Converge, they've maybe done the learning journey, they've seen Angelo's video, which is I must plug it actually, Angelo Saraceno's session on the CVAD's RESTful APIs. Independent of the technical content, the production quality is incredible. I have to call out Angelo because he put a lot of work into that, and it really, you've got great content and great delivery at the same time. But you know what, as people go away and think about the new year, just in terms of what next, what should people be thinking about as they maybe start the new year, and the next thing that they do in this area of enabling their users?
Yeah, I think the big ask beyond all the things we talked about here, Pat, is basically take this to their customers, right? Because I think the magic happens when technology and the customer use cases kind of, come together. And that's where I think the partners can not only help customers and help us in building the right solutions, but also in shaping the product roadmap. I think that would be the most interesting thing for me, which is really go back, deploy these with customers, understand the challenges both from customer perspective and our own product and platform perspective, what it does, what it cannot do, and kind of bring that feedback back to us, right? I think, and really in some way influence the product roadmap. And that would be I think one of my asks, requests, as they kind of, take this into their customer base.
So we're really looking for, this community to be a two-way street, as well as us bringing information on, the technology and the roadmap. We're really looking for that feedback on how it's working now and where we should be going next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So with that, we're pretty much at the top of the hour. So I'd like to thank you, Sridhar, for this fascinating discussion. Thank our audience for their great questions. And yeah.
Let's say congratulations to our Citrix branded audio bottle winners, Joseph Ward, Saksh Matinesh, and Dave Aran. So we will be reaching out to you. And thanks for participating in today's coffee session.
Those much coveted Bluetooth water bottles. Absolutely. All right.
Nice.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.